episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And today we've got a very special NFL/non-NFL Would You Rather episode. We've got some questions that we've conjured up out of thin air, and then we asked Twitter to give us some more, just to balance things out with some of our own and some of yours. But before we get into that, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Sunday evening, this beautiful Father's Day? Any fathers listening? Hope you're having a wonderful Father's Day, or you had a wonderful Father's Day, because it'll be Monday when this episode comes out.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day, everybody. I was just at a Father's Day brunch.
Okay.
Not with my father, my girlfriend's father. I think they have me out here in Phoenix because they needed 4 people to make a reservation for the spot. So here I am to be the 4th person. But that was fire. I had a little eggs Benedict with some steak. So real hearty. And then I was at an old diner and I got a malt. So I've been well fed, and it's really hot outside here back in Phoenix, back where it all started.
Back where it all started. A beautiful hot.
I'm pissed off.
Matt, you were pissed off last episode. You can't be pissed off 2 episodes
Was
in
I?
a row.
But I can. The place that I was supposed to go look at for my apartment, they like called me an hour before I was supposed to go over there and like, we took another offer. We're sorry. We didn't mean it. We don't want to waste your time, but we did make you fill out the entire application and email us 100 times and confirm that you were coming 10 times. But then you can't come anymore because we already have somebody. So
What
that
you
was
should
very
do
good.
is-
And I waited a week to go look at this place. So what I should do is probably something we can't even say on the podcast. That's what I should.
I was gonna say you should pretend to move in there, and then we can dox them, and then people will think it's Sponhour's house.
No. What I needed to neg them. I didn't even want to move in there. Good, honestly, perfect. Yeah, I don't even want a place to live. I want a box. That's all.
What about look? You got 4 walls around you right now, man.
And I can't wait till I move out and don't. We're looking for a 3-bedroom place. It's been very difficult. We've got a few contenders, but it's hard to get anybody to email you back on a Sunday, even though there's no football.
Yeah, what
So
else could
it's
they be
kind of
doing?
just like
Yeah, what?
like we can't even
What else could be going on, man?
make any progress on it today. So I've just been mad. So
And you've only
that's
got
been great.
2 or 3 weeks until NCAA 25 comes out. So after
I
that, then
know.
no one's going to be paying attention to the
Right.
emails.
So
online.
we're on the clock, man.
You're really on the clock. Well,
I
that
believe
sucks,
in you.
man. I'm sorry to hear that,
Yes.
but I
It's
believe
okay.
that you'll find a place that's even better.
That's true. This will be a blessing in
Facts.
disguise.
What did Joe
Facts.
Mazzulla say? Good things aren't always good, and bad things aren't always bad.
I'm a big believer in that. I agree with him. Sometimes
I agree with him,
especially
too.
like living situation wise when you're young, at least from my experience, is when you get what you want, it actually is like only okay. And then when you don't, good and bad things are on the same path. Sometimes you live somewhere you don't want to live, and then it has a secret benefit. So he's right.
Yeah, man.
That's
If
true.
you ever need a couch to crash on, you can always pull up.
Yeah, I'm just moving in straight up, brother. So
You can have the bathtub. Real talk.
sweet.
Get a little pillow in there. Get a little blankie. Nice little setup there in the bathtub.
Yeah,
Blaiden's
man.
place.
The acoustics might not be great for the podcast, but one thing about this other place is it was like 4 minutes from the William Howard Taft Museum. It was incredibly close. So
You could have recorded the podcast from there every day.
I'll probably spend most nights there anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference, I guess, in the long run.
You should apply
But
for a
anyway.
job at the museum and then say, like, is there like
That would
housing
probably be pretty
on
fun.
campus?
Is their house?
Actually, they probably have like 2 people on staff. I've never been.
Oh,
So I don't really actually know, but I'm assuming it's fine. You want to get into the would you
probably-
rathers?
yeah.
Sure. I'm curious, Theo. You said you have one that is not necessarily a would you rather. I kind of want to hear that one first.
Oh, I was thinking outside the box because when a would you rather inherently creates two options, and I kind of
Yes.
wanted to open it up. And my first question to ask you guys is if you could show like a 1940s coach anything about football now, what would you show him? And this can be a highlight tape of a certain player. This can
Caleb
maybe
Williams'
be
phone color.
He'd lose his fucking mind, man.
yeah, he'd be like, what? He'd be like, what is that brick in his hand? Caleb Williams' phone color. You see his lipstick too? You see that? Don't.
Vince Lombardi when he sees Caleb Williams' nails.
Hey, Vince Lombardi, I think, had a gay brother. Vince Lombardi would have been
hold
rocking
on.
with him.
There we go.
Vince Lombardi was a
Would've been
king.
woke.
There we go.
Vince Lombardi was woke. They don't want you to know
That's why we
this.
love Vince Lombardi. Don't ask me if Paul Brown was of such moral high ground. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't say.
I'm thinking our odds are probably bad for any 40s coach. Regardless, if I could show them one thing,
Or like a
Oh, man.
concept
I
too.
honestly-
Like you could. This also maybe applies to you could teach them about something, but I don't want it to say like, oh, I would show them. Like I just teach them how to play modern football. It's got to be something kind of specific, but it doesn't have to just be a single object or play.
well, it'd have to be something that could apply back to the 40s, kind of, right? I mean, like,
Yeah,
I could
that's
show them,
exactly where
like,
my
here's some-
mind went.
Here's some Cam Newton highlights. You got to get a guy like this, is what you got to do. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's pretty good. But like
The same thing
ball wasn't
applies to,
even the
like-
same shape back then.
Right, and that also applies to like, oh, I would teach them the air raid. It's like that'd probably just be too big of a jump too fast.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd show him some of like Shanahan motion stuff. I don't know how much they were really doing that back then, but I feel like you could get them to.
I think
To
I would
maybe
just show
start
them
incorporating that
shotgun in
in some-
general and just say like, look, you got to get into shotgun, man. I don't care what you do from it. But shotgun should have come along way earlier than it did. And watching the old Super Bowls, they're under center the whole time. I feel like if I could show them one thing, it would be, do they have it on YouTube? Best shotgun plays compilation.
I think I would just show them. Do you know that throw that Justin Herbert makes against the Giants? I think in his second
Oh, yes, I
year?
know it very well. I watch it.
I think it's to like Jalen Guyton or something. I think I would just show them that. And they'd
just
be
to
like,
flex on them. That wouldn't, not to progress the game of football at all. Just be like, look what we have now.
yeah, just like totally just be like, yeah, this is like peak.
You guys are plumbers. You go back and then just have a handful of highlights, and then instead of talking to a coach, you could talk to like fans from that era, and then be like, my era is way better than yours. And they'll be like, no, it's not. See, and you'll be like, you can't even. They play their phonograph of like the greatest radio broadcasts, and then you get to show them.
Greatest Bronco Nagurski calls of all time.
I
listen
think
to
as
this,
soon as you pulled up like a 4K video of anything in the NFL, they would just lose their mind like instantly.
Do you think they'd like it, or do you think they'd try to be different? They'd be like, "Oh, it's better now. I don't like all that." Or do you
No,
think
they
they'd
would
be
definitely
like,
hate
probably
it.
do
They would
that.
definitely hate
No,
it,
they-
bro. Like
they'd be the one group of people to be like, you're right, that is better. This my era does suck now.
the NFL would like get disbanded. They'd be like, no more throwing. We got to stop this from occurring.
no more throwing. Yeah, just wait till you show them. Wait till you show them
dig their heels
Saquon
in.
Barkley. Show them Saquon Barkley Penn State highlights and see if they
Oh,
change
there we
their
go.
mind on the no throwing.
They wouldn't. They'd be like, this is way better.
Yeah, when
They'd be
Saquon
like,
Barkley
we've got our
hurdles someone,
athletes out at wide receiver.
when Saquon Barkley hurdles someone on the kickoff, and you're like, oh shoot.
What could you show him to fuck him up the worst? Like if you wanted to ruin football for the future. Blaiden, you said Herbert highlights?
That's what I'm saying. Just like the Justin Herbert highlight compilation. How do you hit that throw?
I'd show them a targeting. I'd show them a
wins.
targeting ejection.
Show them pass interference.
I'd show them pass it. I would. I'd be like, see, I would take it from the year that you could challenge pass interference and pretend that that's the way it is forever, and like be like, look, refs, they can never. You have to disband refs before it's too late.
Disband refs. Just get rid of officiating altogether.
I would say,
Fair enough.
I don't know, what else could you show him? You could show him like Boomer Esiason, not Boomer Esiason. You could show him like Boomer halftime, like all of it. He's like whoop, and they're showing all the highlights, and he's like going nuts. I'd be like, look at how unprofessional it gets, and they'd be like, savages.
We have to show them the Super Bowl halftime show where it was like 50 Cent and Snoop Dogg and
oh yeah, they'd love Kendrick.
Yeah, and Kendrick. I'm sure
Bro,
that would be.
I'd show them the GoDaddy commercial from when that nerd made out with that model for like 30 seconds. You remember that?
Yes, man.
I'd show them that.
Oh my god. This was a good
I don't know.
this was a good would you rather, Theo.
Yeah, but there's no would you rather part of it, I guess.
I think maybe you can phrase
Would you
it as
rather,
like,
and then it's all of the options we just listed. Or.
Yeah, nothing else. We've those are all the cool things that you could show them anyway.
that's true. That's true.
I guess the would you rather would be if you could go back in time and show them something, would you do it? Or would you just let it play out the way that it has? Would you mess with time?
Would I mess with like NFL butterfly effect? Like the Panthers have 0 Super Bowls. We might as well roll those dice. Do you feel me?
I am walking onto the field and picking up Ernest Biner's fumble and giving it back to him.
How could you impact Panthers history? Didn't they like become a team in like 2000?
Butterfly effect, 95, but butterfly effect. Who knows what's going to happen? Like everything would be different if you show like one concept. And if the Panthers don't get created at all, it was
You
worth
have to show them. You have to show them. No,
great
you
loss.
have to show them Cam Newton highlights.
There's another
and then they're gonna be
Saints
like,
team.
we have to make this team.
Oh yeah,
That's not a bad idea.
You could prophesize Cam Newton.
That's
Oh,
true.
dude, I could.
And then you got to show them Luke Kuechly.
I'd show.
You could just prophesize the entire 2015. There's the smartest linebacker that ever lived, and there's a quarterback that.
And
then,
these
like,
aren't
all of football
exaggerations
history.
too. Is what's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
probably.
So okay, NFL butterfly effect. Do I not break my collarbone in this new future? Is that?
You go back and
here's the
don't lay
thing.
out for that pass, man.
Well, I think if we're saying butterfly effect straight up, like not contained within the NFL world, then definitely not, because like we probably would never be born, fellas. But
Nah,
if it's
I
just
would have been
butterfly
born,
effect
but like,
for the NFL, then yeah.
Wouldn't we have to be born because we're the one who goes back and gives the butterfly effect thing? Like,
That's
I feel
the
like no one
question,
else
ain't
is
it?
safe but us.
Oh, okay. Then yeah.
I don't know. Because if we're not born, then it doesn't
family,
happen.
though.
I think
My
family might
family's in
be
trouble,
good
that might
too.
be.
I don't know about sisters, but because we exist, I think parents have got to be sisters
Okay.
or brothers. But my sisters might be done for.
Yeah,
but
so I'm risking my brother's life so I can show one guy in the 40s Cam Newton highlights. I'm
I
imagining
mean, it's
like,
like a 50-50.
there's the would you rather. Would you rather have a brother or would you rather prophesize Cam Newton 100 years ago?
it's a tough one. I have
But then-
I have a would you rather that's like an honest one. If
All right.
if you want to hear
Yes,
it.
yes.
Lay it on us. When it comes to your feet, eBay's got your back because with eBay's authenticity guarantee, real experts are checking your sneakers, every stitch down to the sole. Me personally, I'm a big fan of a classic Air Force or maybe a nice suede or leather boot, but whatever it is that you're adding to the lineup next, head to eBay. From the drop to your doorstep, eBay does not play with your sneaker game. Just look for that blue check mark. So ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit ebay.com for terms.
Would you rather have, this is like reeling it back a lot, I won't lie, so maybe this sucks.
Okay.
But would you rather
yeah.
have the first overall pick in next year's draft or Bryce Young?
I would rather have probably the first. Oh, that's a good question. I think I'd rather have the first overall pick in next year's draft, though, because I feel like
There's
couldn't
no
trade
guarantee
Bryce.
that you get a quarterback prospect as good as Bryce. It's not
No, there's really
impossible, but it seems like it's less likely.
I guess it depends
if
on
we're
who
just
you are.
completely unbiased.
Are we assuming that you're a team that needs a quarterback?
Yeah. We're assuming that you're a bad team. That's all I'll say.
How
that
bad?
needs a quarterback. Like bad.
Bryce is definitely a
Well-
better prospect than any of the quarterbacks are currently regarded as right now, right? Like Bryce,
Yeah.
if Bryce was going into the 2025 draft, like with the same hype that he was the year before his final college season, he would be the shoe-in projected number 1 overall guy ahead of, and to me, that would be very fair. I like Carson Beck a lot, but we'll see if he develops into a better prospect than Bryce Young was. And he's definitely a better prospect than Shador, than
Yes.
Ewers, than like probably Cam Ward. Although I think Cam Ward has got some Bryce Young in his game, it feels like to me. But
My thing is like if we're looking at a team as bad as the Panthers were last year, then I might take the first overall pick. But if we're looking at like a team maybe a little bit better, I might take Bryce Young.
Not in the spirit of the question.
Okay.
yeah, but I feel like you had to take the first overall pick though, because the Panthers took Bryce with the first overall pick, and it was like a horrific disaster.
Yeah, but that's because the Panthers were already like horrific.
But that doesn't. But Bryce's value definitely depreciates some for having a bad
All
season.
first
Even though I
overall
do
picks are not
believe
as
him.
equal.
Yeah.
That's the difference. I think it's debatable. I think that saying depending on how bad you are, because you wouldn't want to put Bryce in this situation. I don't know. I think you want to just take the better asset straight up. Is there a world where you think that Bryce is the best quarterback that you could get between those two options, and you need one, and you don't want the better quarterback? I think no, right?
There's also no team that's that bad right now, I think. Like,
That would
the
want
Panthers
Bryce
were
Young.
terrible, and then they traded their best player away. Like, there's no team with a roster as bad as you're describing, or as bad as the Panthers situation last year, at least on paper. Maybe some team ends up being a disaster, like the Raiders or something. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd rather take the first overall pick still. But I do believe in Bryce. Would I rather have Bryce or the third overall pick? Then I'd probably have Bryce.
I'd hope
I
you'd
don't know.
probably rather have Bryce. The other thing is that you're not guaranteed to hit on your first overall pick. We'll probably look back on this question in 5 years, like I'm sure everybody is going to. And we could say like, oh, if you had the first overall pick, you could have had blank, you know? But right now it's not even obvious. Yeah, so it's like anyone from that draft class, like, yeah, anyone. But we don't even know who the best player is. Right now, as it stands, there is nobody who is clearly the first overall pick. Even a little bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And there is no quarterback prospect that is as good as Bryce was as a prospect. I think that's fair to say, at least at the moment. But Bryce has already had a really tough year 1, and that is a very bad indicator. And if he has a very tough year 2, which I think he will be improved, I think he will be better. But if he is not, I mean, I got Panthers fans mad at me for saying that would feel like game over, but it would be game over most likely if he just stinks this year. If he's just like I don't know. So you could be like watching that draft pick happen and already know that you were wrong. I would go with Bryce.
Yeah, You would go with Bryce? I think I would go with the
Mhm.
first pick and hope Carson Beck wins the Heisman because I think he's about the only quarterback
He's got
that
a shot
really
at it.
moves me
He's
that
got a
I've
real
seen
shot at
so
it.
far. I would say that Cam Ward at Miami will intrigue me a little bit because if he really breaks out, he does remind me of Bryce a little bit. I don't know if he could become that caliber of prospect because he hasn't, and he almost declared and then he went back to school. It would be a long shot for him to get to that level, but there is someone who is a little Bryce-esque in the class, in my opinion. But he's definitely not the same caliber. So I'd take Bryce over the potential to draft Cam Ward, I guess. I just want to throw it out that there is a guy who maybe could be a bit Brycey. A little Brycey.
Oh, Brycey.
Is that the first time anyone
Yeah.
said Brycey? Like there's Mahomey-esque, but Bryce-esque?
I think
young.
you just invented that.
He's a little Brycey.
Put that on a t-shirt, man.
He's Brycey.
Blaiden, do you have one?
I do, actually. It might be even less interesting than both of your questions, but
Way to sell it.
yeah, man. Would you rather have? So I'm gonna add some context. I'm gonna talk about a fullback, but the context of the fullback is like he is not like a 1930s Jim Brown fullback where he's like running
Kyle
the rock.
Juszczyk is who we're
he's like
talking
Kyle Juszczyk. Okay. Would you rather have the greatest fullback to ever exist in the history of football, or the greatest offensive guard? Same context. Guard.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, the thing is, with the best guard of all time is who right now? I guess I don't know who it would be. Larry Allen, maybe. I don't know. Rest in peace. I feel like the best guard is better than the best fullback.
Hypothetically,
Right.
they're like the same level of good.
Interesting.
Well, are we drawing like an actual the greatest fullback of all time? Like, I don't know who's on this list. Like Okoye.
I don't. That's why I'm saying like Jim Brown
Or is it like
not.
a Juszczyk who is hypothetically like viewed as the GOAT? The problem is that like Juszczyk is the greatest fullback of our generation, and like even if you told me it was just like Juszczyk versus the best guard in the league now, I'd go best guard in the league now.
So like, okay, you run power with this fullback as your lead, and he's basically guaranteed to clear out at least two people.
Okay, well, here's the thing. If we're guaranteeing that the guy has superpowers,
And like, and the guard can do basically the same thing when he pulls.
here's my thing. I think we have to invent a fullback to make this question work. So I think the answer is probably guard in real life.
I might take the fullback.
In this made-up universe, okay. So my thought process is like, when we were playing
fullback
Madden,
gets yards.
Well, no, my thought process is when we were playing Madden, our most successful run plays was that outside power where we had the lead blocking fullback.
And that's true with a lot of running schemes today, I feel like, where being in 21 personnel with a fullback, it can be pretty efficient at times. I guess my only question would be, I don't know, the receiving play has gotten so good that, but I guess if you're the best fullback ever, would that limit you in the passing game, I guess would be my question. Because would it matter? We never throw it to our fullback in Madden, do we? We're always running it like outside zone over and over again. So would it kind of limit you structurally? But if they're that good, if they're like better than Juszczyk, and hypothetically you have a coach that like knows what to do with it, I do think that a fullback could be an underutilized weapon in today's NFL because the best offense has one, right? So they're not that bad of idea. But at the same time, fullbacks aren't for everybody, whereas a guard is for everybody.
How much does Kyle make?
Yeah, good question.
Capitalism will
decide.
Why are you pocket watching Kyle Juszczyk right now, man?
Sorry, bro. I'm just saying. Yeah, he has it's loading. He is making $3.6 million this year. That's his cap hit. If we could
Pocket
invent a
watching
fullback
Aiyuk
that was
check
like
is
8 times as good
crazy.
as him, so he'd make 8 times as much money and be on par with the highest paid guard, maybe. But I think he's it's just too big of a gap. Like imagining a fullback that is as good as like the best guard of all time is nearly impossible. At least in the modern NFL. I agree that they can be very interesting and
it
very
would be
useful.
like Joel Bitonio if he weighed like 220 pounds instead of 300, or I don't know how much Joel Bitonio
Well,
weighs.
I don't.
And that he's
But
like
you're
he
making a
runs
guy.
like
You're making up a guy
4'6".
who's impossible.
You're making up a Browns player. Would you rather
Imagine if
have
Nick Chubb
the
was
greatest
best
guard ever,
blocker
or
in
if
the
Joel
league?
Bitonio was?
The guy who only knows Browns trying to describe a fullback. So he's like,
He's like if Nick Chubb could block, or if
Small
Joel
Joel
Bitonio
Bitonio,
could
or-
run. Oh Lord. But see, like
I'd go
I
guard.
think I don't know. I think that the fullback might have some hidden usage, but I guess I'm not a coach, so I guess I don't know what I'd even do with him. So like I guess if I was the GM, it would be safer to go guard. But I do think that the
Yeah.
fullback has some hidden value. I think that there is something to the idea of you can create an extra gap. It forces a safety to come down and defend, right? Because, you know, if a fullback's really good at blocking, like you're only going to be able to play one high against him. And if you had a really good quarterback and you had a really good fullback on the field at all times together, like,
That's what I'm saying.
and
You get
if you had like
Justin
Mahomes,
Herbert and
yeah, like the whole thing right now is too high structure, too high shells. It's look at how the defense is having a moment. It's limited all the big plays. If you had the best fullback of all time out there, you may be always getting one high looks, whereas the best guard of all time wouldn't create that kind of structural advantage. So I'll go with the fullback, actually. That's how I would use them.
the
I'd
greatest
force the one
fullback
high
ever.
shells.
You have a true X receiver and a pretty good
Yeah,
quarterback.
the
Like,
rest
you
of my
would- you would
team, I'm such a
probably
good
cook.
GM that I have all the other pieces that I need.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think I'd give it the old try with the great fullback, and
Try.
maybe he would turn into Kyle Pitts, where people are like, "Oh, you're just misusing him." I don't know, but I would go
brother.
fullback. I think it would be interesting
Let's
to try.
go. Thank you, Theo. Do we want to do a question from our Twitter?
And then rotate
Yeah,
back
why
to us.
not?
I think that makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense.
That's what I was thinking too. So I'm glad you agree. This one comes from Shane. He says, would you rather have to fight a silverback gorilla once a year or fight a chicken every time you enter your car?
Why do I feel like we've answered this question once before? Is this ringing a very
Maybe we have.
vague
This has
bell for
definitely
you
been
guys?
an internet debate for a long time. So it might be, and
Yes.
we've answered things along these lines, maybe this specifically. However, whatever I said originally doesn't matter because I am 1000% positive that the answer is the chicken and you just don't
Yes.
use the car anymore and you just have to adapt your life a lot because you'll get killed by a silverback gorilla like 99%
Every
of
year.
the time.
You're
Like,
dying every year,
time.
man.
Like even if you gave me like a weapon, like possibly even if you gave me a gun against a silverback gorilla, like I would lose. I think there's a very real chance that you would miss. And there's just no way, like, again, I think against pretty much any animal that has even a reasonable chance to like beat and kill you, like you should just do the chicken thing and like, okay, you're gonna have to try to find somewhere to live that's walkable. Maybe it's
Yeah.
kind of expensive.
Your life
but,
will
like,
get
that's
better
way
actually
more
if you choose
doable.
the chicken.
Yeah, and it's like that's like annoying to always be limited to that. Like, yeah, that would be a pretty annoying thing, but you could still like get rides from people.
Yeah,
like,
it only says enter
Yeah,
when
I
you
assume-
enter your car.
Right. I assume like the way I'm thinking about it is I have a Subaru, and every
Yeah.
time me and anyone would get in the Subaru, I'd have to kill the chicken, right? And it would just regenerate once we leave. But
Yeah.
and any car that's in my name, that would occur.
Yeah.
But I can think of a lot of other
yeah.
cars that I ride in, and it wouldn't apply to
I
those
think-
cars.
I think a rental counts.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
A rental counts. Here's
Yeah.
my
I would have to get a
question.
ride everywhere. I couldn't just
Here's
rent
my
a car
question.
every time. Plus, that would be
If
expensive.
hypothetically your spouse had a car in their name, but you were an insured
counts.
driver.
Spouse, I
that
think
counts.
that would have to count.
Okay.
It would have to count. But I still think, like, no matter what, there could be 100 chickens in there, and I'm still taking the chicken over the yearly gorilla fight
Yeah.
too. Like, even if you live the first time, you got to do it again next year.
Yeah,
like,
you'll just be like, and okay, again,
You die
even
every
let's pick
year.
an animal where it's 50-50, like you versus like, I don't know, what are your odds against a pit bull? Like, probably not great, but like you could definitely win that, right? I would still take
Probably,
the
yeah.
chicken because okay, imagine there's even a 10% chance that a pit bull kills you when you fight it. Like the dread that you would feel all year knowing that that's coming versus just like, okay, well, I have to go spend a little bit of extra money to live like downtown somewhere where it's walkable. But guess what? I don't have a car payment anymore.
And every once in a
know,
while,
like-
honestly, every once in a while, if
plus Blaiden
you
is
run out of
president, and the
food-
highways are destroyed. You know.
That's true. So actually, this is a perfect opportunity. Yeah, no, but then every once in a while, if you do feel like, you might want chicken for dinner, just go out to your car.
Yeah, true. Yeah, this is a great opportunity. You'd never have to. You'd have unlimited chicken supply. How about this though? I was trying to think of what animal could be worth it, where a yearly fight would be pretty even with the chicken, and the only thing I could think of was another person, because that's pretty even. Like if you had to, and let's say it's not a fight to the death, it's just you have to get into a fight with them. Like, would you take the yearly fight with somebody else, or would you take the chicken?
Well, how
So
does
it's like
it
either
like
I
a
fight
boxing
Theo
match, but you can get
NFL
knocked
or-
out?
How about it's
like a
like
boxing match, or
how about
can
like
you die?
an MMA? How about MMA like cage type of situation, and the other person is another adult man your age every year for the rest, but it's a
Is it
random selection.
Okay.
It's not like an MMA fight. It's just you have to fight another dude, and it's kind of a random dude.
And it could be like a bodybuilder.
It
Or
could
it
be
could
anybody.
be- Okay.
It's like the Hunger
yeah.
Games. They take the slip and they have to fight you.
Yeah. They have to fight me.
But it's always a man your age. You're never gonna get like a kindergartner.
Volunteering as tribute to fight Theo.
And maybe
Ashton's
in
gear.
your weight. How about maybe in your weight class as well?
Oh,
Okay.
okay. That's pretty
if
big.
they're in my
That's
weight
pretty
class.
big.
Well, here's the thing. I just don't think that a random person like is gonna kill me, but like I almost am still considering the chicken just because it would be such a drag to do that every year. Like, and
I think it
honestly,
could be
like
kind of be fun if you got
adapting-
like really into fighting. Then it could be a little challenge for yourself. And if you lose, you'll lose. You know, like could you train for it every year and start to get good, and then you look forward to it?
You could like make
Possibly,
content with
alright.
it too. Like,
I might
I'll
lose
flip
every
the
year
guy.
though. I'm
so, but here's the thing: what happens if you lose? There has to be some sort of consequence. That's the thing
you
with the
just get the
gorillas.
shit beat out of you. I think that is the consequence to losing a fight. I saw a boxing guy get knocked out yesterday. A tank versus somebody. I don't watch a ton of boxing, and his punishment for losing is that he got knocked the fuck out. I think that would be our punishment as well.
But even if you win, you're still gonna be a little beat up. Like there,
yeah.
like how much of a world?
Yeah,
that's
but
what I'm saying. There's
if
not
it's
much of a
random
difference
person,
between.
you actually probably could. It would take a few years, but by year 5, I mean, I feel like you'd be a pretty solid fighter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd be
'Cause you could
decent if
train all
if you
year.
trained. Okay,
Yeah,
then
and you
you're
would,
just
'cause
going
you
up
know
against
it's gonna
some
happen.
random person. Yeah, and it's like your odds of going up against somebody who like knows how to fight is honestly incredibly low.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how to fight right now. Like, if anybody has any formal training, they could beat me up, and I have to avoid that
Yeah.
pretty much. That's why
For
I
a
don't
year,
get
for like the
fights, I
first year,
guess.
basically.
Yeah,
The,
So it's like,
the
okay, I
first
might get
couple
beat
of
up a few
years are
times.
pretty tough.
Yeah, I
Okay, I
definitely
would
would
take-
get.
I would take the- I would
sometimes
take
I'd
the
win and
person.
sometimes I'd lose. You know, and I think that would okay. You take the person over the chicken every time.
Is it
Yeah,
like a
and I'm tall,
headlining
I've got
event? Like,
reach.
is there like a lot of people there?
No, I don't.
You just
think
like
so.
show
Just-
up and it's like empty
Yeah.
arena.
I don't know. I think
Honestly,
at
that
the
makes
be-
it
I
less.
think at the
That makes it
beginning.
less exciting for me.
It depends
At the
as you grow
beginning,
your
maybe.
name.
Yeah, exactly. Like you
Oh.
could, I think if you had to fight a guy every year, I think it would be up to you on how much you want to market that. Do you just want to go fight him? No glitz, no glamour, no
Okay.
cameras. Because some people would just want to do that. But if you wanted to make it a big event,
That's what I'm saying. Like, I might as well make some money
you
off
could
of this.
I mean, you're a TikToker. You could be like, here's my yearly fight and easily record it and then get some people to show up and see where it goes from
Yeah.
there.
The
But you could
Twitch
just do that
live
today.
stream of
Really.
I
You
could
can
just do
fight
that
somebody
today.
People
every
are asking for Blaiden Kirk and Theo Ash.
I'm just gonna walk outside and fight the first person I see. Come watch.
I think that's illegal.
Do we want to move?
Yeah, we can move back.
Theo,
Next
Theo,
question.
what's your next?
My next one was: would you rather trade Brandon Aiyuk for a first-round pick or Deebo Samuel for a third?
Ooh.
And the caveats are here: the Aiyuk first-round pick is probably late 20s, maybe it's a
later
second-round
first.
pick in the
Yeah.
30s, somewhere in that range, or Deebo for like maybe an
I'd rather
earlier
keep
mid
Aiyuk.
third.
I'd rather keep
You'd
the
rather
straight up
keep him
winner,
and pay him?
like the outside
I
X
think
threat.
so.
Yeah, I think so. Aiyuk is honestly like really high end wide receiver one that is not that easy to find. I guess your argument could be that like guys like Aiyuk, like there's usually like one per year available. You know what I mean? I guess this year there wasn't. Like it was Aiyuk and he didn't get moved. So it might be easier to find another guy like that if you're willing to go spend the first on a dude like that. But I'm kind of assuming that if you trade one of these guys away, you can't like then go trade for another receiver who you'll also pay. Because the reason why the 49ers are sitting here trying to make this decision is they can't afford it. They can't afford to keep everybody. So you in this scenario also can't afford it. You can try to draft another one. Obviously, you can draft another receiver with the pick, but you can't go be like, great, I'm going to go trade for T. Higgins. You know, it's like, well, no, it doesn't work like that. I think I would rather keep Aiyuk. I know what Deebo does is special, but I think Aiyuk is just in a higher tier as a route runner and an outside winner. And honestly, without him, I'd be worried that maybe the 49ers would lack that a little bit too much. Although Deebo is not, you know, like Deebo is a great player in his own right. Don't get me wrong. Aiyuk is also younger now.
Yeah, definitely he is. I think he's younger by 2 years.
Yeah, I'd
I'll
probably
look it
also
up, but
take Aiyuk.
I would take Aiyuk. What about you?
You as well, Blaiden.
I think so. I think you could probably replace Deebo for a third, or like with that third. Maybe not one
Maybe.
for one, but I mean, there are a lot of receivers that
Deebo's
have
pretty
kind of gone in
unique.
that. He is, but there are a lot of receivers that have kind of gone in that mid day two range that have ended up being pretty good. So I don't know. I'd probably be okay to move on.
Yeah,
from Deebo
I'd
in
probably
that
go
context.
Aiyuk as well, and that's probably the direction the actual 49ers will kind of go in, although they're just not really making a decision, and we'll probably just wait until next year. I don't know. I guess no one knows, right? That's why it's intriguing. Like, how are they going to pay everybody? How are they going to pay Aiyuk? Especially as the price for these receivers like grew so exponentially this offseason with Jefferson's deal and Amon-Ra St. Brown's deal and AJ Brown's like new deal as well, and Waddle. Like Aiyuk has a conversation of being Aiyuk should feel like he can get the same amount of money as about all of those guys except for Jefferson, right? So it is getting really expensive to keep him, and the idea of a first round pick is definitely intriguing if you're a team like the 49ers. Like, oh, we're strapped up against the cap, and all of a sudden we get cap relief and we get a first round pick. I understand trading him away, but like they did that with DeForest Buckner. They tried to trade someone away instead of paying him, and got a first round pick in return and spent it on a replacement, and it didn't work out at all. That was horrible for them. And that kind of scares me. And when I look at all the receiving trades, like who won the AJ Brown deal? Tyreek. Like the Chiefs won, I guess, rings, but they didn't get the value of Tyreek Hill in return. Although I guess, on the other hand, the Vikings
It's like
away
how
and they
would
got it.
yeah, I think that one ended up being pretty even. It's like what would a Tyreek Hill trade win look like for the Chiefs? It's like probably like it does right now. And we're not even seeing like what is the other tough decision that the Chiefs would have had to make? Would it have been Chris Jones? Because that wouldn't be good. Would it have been Kelsey? That wouldn't have been good. So
No, that wouldn't have been good either. Yeah, I could see the Chiefs being winners there because they got to keep everybody else. Yeah, that's right.
But they
There's
also
that
had
ripple
Mahomes.
effect.
And I think we're sitting here and we're like, I wonder if the Bills won the Diggs trade. So it's not impossible, but I just think in the Aiyuk case, like, nah.
I think it's more likely that the team getting the good player would win. I mean, you can look at the Diggs trade and the Vikings got Jefferson, but with the other ones, it seems like the team getting the wide receiver won the deal in a vacuum. Maybe also Devontae Adams got traded for a first that turned into Quay Walker, I think. So that's been a little bit more even than say the AJ Brown trade, but not by a ton, right? So it tends to be that the guy getting the receiver wins the deal. So I think I would try to keep Aiyuk because I agree he's got a better future than Deebo, and he just had a better season than Deebo. So even though the first is tempting and the contract for him is about to be huge, whereas Deebo's still on a contract through 2024 and 2025, I still think to build the best roster possible, I wouldn't want to trade Aiyuk away. But we'll see what actually happens.
Speaking of DeForest Buckner, though,
it seems like they're just kind of stuck.
I don't want to derail things too much, and if this goes on for a while, we can count this as my next question. But I just put out a tweet saying that the Colts have the best defensive line in football. I think they do. And people are calling me crazy. Do you guys think I'm crazy? Or
yes, the best. I don't know if it's as good as, well, I don't know. I guess the 49ers lost Armstead and Chase Young, so I don't know if it's them anymore. But I don't think the Colts are as good as the Jets. How about that? Quinnen Williams, Hassan Reddick, Jermaine Johnson. I think I would take that over what the Colts have, because Buckner is good, but Quinnen is better. Latu we're very high on, but he's a rookie.
I think Latu's going to break the rookie sack record the more I think about it.
How much is it?
14.5. He needs 15. I'm just saying.
That's just so high end, though. It's like
Ebukam had 9.5 last year. Kwity Paye had 8.5 last year. If you asked me, is Latu twice as good as either of those guys? I would say absolutely.
I think
that's not how. This is not algebra, though. 2x does not. This is not 2x equals 8. Solve for x. Like Latu's better than Ebukam. He'll get double the sacks.
Opinion, it's like certainly possible that the Colts are like the best producing defensive line next year. But to me, it kind of seems like that take is built on like, I think the Colts defensive line is really good, and I want to hype them up, and I want to have a hot take, so they're actually the best. Lock it in now. The only lines that I can think of that really that I would consider putting above them are the Jets, the Browns.
Mm-hmm. What about the Steelers? T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Ogunjobi, Cam Hayward?
No.
Oh.
How old is Cam Hayward, man?
Keanu Benton, then, off the bench. Do not laugh. Hey, bro, we're projecting. Hey, man.
I'm just saying.
What about the Packers? Gary, Penny Clark, Wyatt, Preston Smith. There's two Pro Bowlers on there.
How old is Grover Stewart?
Not like retirement age.
I think that I can't say they're the best right now. I do think it's crazy to say they're the best right here. You could say they're like top 10 and maybe will enter the conversation.
I think they're top 5. Absolutely. I won't even like entertain the idea that they're not top 5. They were top 5 in sacks, pressure rate, pass rush win rate, run stop win rate last year, and they added the best pass rushing prospect since Nick Bosa. Like, there's no shot they're not top 5. Won't entertain it.
They did not. I love Latu. He is not the best pass rushing prospect since Bosa.
Who is?
Chase Young,
The
right?
guys who got picked, like Chase Young, for example, would be a really good one.
I'll give you Chase Young.
There's multiple guys who have gone top 2 in the same year before. Latu went
the only reason
man.
Latu didn't is because people were scared about his injuries, and that's.
Dude.
But Latu came back. Latu came back from an injury, was fine for 2 years, and was the most productive pass rusher in college football for both.
I'll
of those
actually
2 years.
agree with you here, where I do really like Latu as a prospect over like Trayvon Walker, even though Walker went 1.
I think he's a better prospect than Hutchinson. That's how I've always viewed it. He's like a better version of Hutchinson. Why did he go 9th, bro? Because people are worried about his injuries, and I just think they're wrong for that.
That's part of what makes you a prospect, bro.
I just think they're wrong.
What are you talking about?
I'm just not worried about it.
Hey, I'm with you, Blaiden. I'm not worried about it either.
Dude, come on, dude. You can't say, well, it's just like I think he's.
I'm saying they're
right
worried
here.
about it, but I can't be like if this were
on
2020.
Film,
yeah,
I do think that he's the best since Chase Young. But I don't know if I don't think he's a better prospect than Chase Young, because Chase Young's
fair to put. Chase Young's fair to put above him. I forgot about Chase Young.
All right. Okay. But here is what I'll say. If Latu gets hurt, you cannot be like, well. That's absolutely fair. I think that's absolutely 1,000% fair. You cannot be like, well, they're just worried about his injury, and then when an injury happens, like, well, he got hurt. So I thought they were going to be the best defensive line this year, and it's. Why did I think Latu went 9th? By the way, he went 15.
He went 15.
Penix went 9th. I think you just forget. Man. You wanted to forget the Penix pick, and just like it was a blank spot maybe in your head. Like no one went 9th.
Penix pick. That's honestly my favorite thing that happened this entire offseason too. But
that might be my favorite thing that's happened in the history of me covering the NFL. that might be the funniest individual transaction.
I just disagree so strongly with his injury history doesn't matter. I think that's just the dice that the Colts chose to roll. And I don't disagree with them rolling that. And I think he could come in and just be awesome day 1 because he is a beast. But, we're taking that I think you have to take that into account with your evaluation of a prospect.
But we can't, right? Because we're not the like imagine if you're the Colts and the doctors say like, look, we're giving him the green flag. Like he's had these procedures, but he's good to be a 1st-round pick. I would have a higher, ignoring the injuries that we don't really know that much about. I would say he's better on film than say Trayvon Walker. And I think as far as yeah. Go ahead.
What bothers me about that is then if any time like we just do that, it's like, okay, well, he might be injury prone, but he's actually a great prospect. It's kind of like rolling the dice, but you can't lose any money, right? Like that's how we're talking about it here. If Latu goes and he doesn't get injured, he'll play great. If Latu goes and he does get injured, well, we couldn't have known.
Well, I think his situation's a little bit different than like Mims per se, because Latu has been healthy since the doctors advised him to retire. Like it's not like he's constantly
been healthy for 2 years.
I agree with that.
Tell me
he's
you're
not
the
constantly
doctors,
banged up.
and you know that he's good to go.
Well, all I know is that he's been playing. Right, that's all I can say is like, okay, he's got.
And all I know is he went,
but
15.
He's played. That's because teams are dumb, man.
Look, I don't want to.
He should have gone 9th. He should have gone 9th.
I don't want to turn this into I don't believe in Latu or I don't think the Colts have a great defensive line, because like I do, but I just think that this is sort of like one of those scenarios where people kind of talk about a pick or a prospect like you don't actually have like one 1st-round draft pick that you get to use, and you actually have to like live with the results of that. Like it's pretty easy to make the call that Latu will be good, and if he's hurt, like no one will blame you. But if you're a general manager and you pick Latu and his neck starts bothering him again and he's done, like you blew a 1st-round draft pick.
Right.
So I don't think there's any argument that like he could be better than Aiden Hutchinson. He certainly could be better than Walker. And maybe Walker was overdrafted. Same with Tyree Wilson. Like a level of prospect you are isn't just where you get drafted clearly. But I don't think he's as good of a prospect as Hutchinson.
Okay. I still don't think the Colts are the best. I'm with you on the Latu hype of Blaiden. I agree that he's an amazing prospect, one of the best edge prospects in recent years.
My thought process.
But I just can't get with the Colts.
I feel like so many people look at the Colts and they see Grover Stewart and they see DeForest Buckner and they don't see anyone else. Even though they were a 50 sack team and 30 of their sacks came from not those guys. And I'm like,
look,
the thing is though, like
Colts, like they're great, or they're
just not the
great.
best.
Yeah, I mean the discussion we had in the group text was I think they just remind me of the 22 Eagles. But
I mean, you were right about the Colts. I thought you were crazy for hyping up the Colts last year, and then they actually did.
Well, now I'm going. I was.
Now you're just turning it up.
Yeah. Now I'm just going all in. Last year I was very tame. I was like, yeah, they'll probably compete for the division, and now I'm just like, yeah,
They'll
they
probably
did
win the
that.
Super Bowl.
I think they could really compete with anyone in the AFC. I mean, they almost won the division last year with Gardner Minshew and a defense that played well despite not having their, turnover machine Shaq Leonard in play. And so, I mean, they're not going to have him, but they're getting
What does they
now.
can compete with anyone in the AFC mean?
What do you mean they can?
Specifically, they're not.
I think they
tier
can.
one team in the AFC.
I think they will.
Can the Jaguars compete with any team in the
when we do our division predictions, I will have them winning the AFC South and probably being the 2 seed in the AFC.
Okay, there we go. I can rock with that. I see the vision. I'm just worried about injuries with the Colts and inexperience. So
and I'll say this: people are like, "What about the Texans?" I think the Texans are going to be right there with them. The Texans are damn good too. Like, I think the AFC South probably just looks like it's going to be a good division. Like, it might just be a good division this year.
How about the Seahawks defensive line, Blaiden?
What?
How about the Seattle's defensive line, Blaiden? Daryl Taylor, Uchenna Nwosu, Leonard Williams, Jaron Reed, Boye Mafe, Byron Murphy, Draymond Jones.
And if we make
the level of star there,
pick,
but
the
it's
greatest
so deep.
rookie pass rusher of all time.
And yeah, think about how good Byron Murphy II is going to be.
The Seahawks might be underrated too.
They are an underrated one.
The Seahawks might be underrated. But
they don't
the
have
Seahawks have their
Buckner.
own. They don't, and they also have their own slew of issues behind that.
Well, that doesn't
defensive
matter
line.
for this conversation.
Yeah, that's true. But hey,
what about the Cowboys? With Micah Parsons by himself with Tank Lawrence?
just Micah. I was like, what does the interior of this defensive line look like? For Dallas
that's a little
right
rough,
now.
But Digazoo is kind of nice. I'd probably put them above the Colts as it stands currently, just because of their ends.
Really? Micah's great.
Dude, the Dallas Cowboys had, you said the Colts were number 5 or top 5 in a bunch of pass rushing stats, which I think a lot of people would be surprised to learn.
But they're also up there in the run stopping stats.
But the Cowboys are probably number 1 in every pass rushing stat,
Yeah. I mean, they're up. It's like them, the Browns, and it wasn't the Jets. It was the Texans were also up there.
What
And
about
they
the
might
Lions?
Ooh.
The Lions are pretty good.
Pretty good.
They could use another end. I don't know. If Reader is healthy and plays the way he did, they got Wingo. They got
Wingo. I know you snuck that in there, man.
I'm not putting the Colts number 1 though. We're talking about this for too long. I do think you're crazy to say they're already number 1 or they're why isn't anybody talking about the fact that the Colts have the best?
Projecting, but
I get being super high on them though. I am too. I just don't think that If I were to rank them right now, I just couldn't put them at number one. I couldn't.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I won't hate you for it. I won't hate you for it. But Matt, do you have another would you rather for us?
I have one more. It's kind of a simple one though. It's really not that exciting. Would you rather be the Packers or the Texans?
Green Bay.
All right, cheesehead.
Blaiden,
What
what's your
history
answer?
does Houston have?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Why would you rather be the Texans?
From a
All-time.
purely roster standpoint, clearly there is no. What about their history? What about the tradition?
Well, that's like the most important stuff. The most important
you
stuff
get
is the
hired-
history, you know.
You get hired as the GM of one of
There's
these teams.
there's no phrasing this question any other way. I'd love to be the general manager of the Packers, my beloved. No, you have to pick one roster, contract situations and all. Who you going with?
Probably Houston.
Yeah.
You got Will Anderson. You got D'Amico Ryans. Your defense is already better than the Packers has like ever been, or at least been in my lifetime, because they were pretty good back in Super Bowl I. Yeah, I think that in Houston you can 100% unequivocally say they have the defense and the quarterback, whereas in Green Bay, I think they have the talent to have the defense and quarterback. But you're not quite sure. They also don't have a tackle like Laramie Tunsil, although Zach Tom is damn good. And they don't have a receiver like Nico Collins. So I think everywhere you look, edge, quarterback, wide receiver, corner, with the way Stingley just played. Although Jair's, again, very, very good. I do think that the stars in Houston seem a little bit more high-powered than the stars in Green Bay. But Green Bay is not that far behind, and I don't know. We'll see what they can do, but I think I'd rather be Houston's GM.
Yeah, I think I agree, and it also comes down partially to Stroud being on a rookie deal, whereas Love is going to get paid a lot sooner. You have Will Anderson on that rookie deal. You have Stingley on that rookie deal. So you've got, it feels like, a lot of key players at key positions, a lot cheaper. Although I really like Green Bay. I think they're
It's one of those
super
situations where it's kind of comfortably Houston, but it's not because it's a large margin. It's comfortably Houston. I can comfortably say Houston's a little bit better than the Green Bay situation, where I'm very sure about that, but it's not a huge gap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you'd have like, what exactly would you have to think, I guess, to pick the Packers? Like, where are we saying that the
Love is better than
that the
Stroud, and
advantage-
maybe the
like,
depth
right? It's
of
like you'd have
Green
to,
Bay
like-
is better than the depth of the Texans,
Which
because
I
the
could
stars
see,
in
or maybe-
Houston
maybe
are
you'd-
better.
Yeah, I think, but I feel like the stars, if you were taking over the team, would probably have to like you'd feel like you could build around them to some extent in a way where it's like if one guy isn't working out, you can replace him. So I'd say Houston, but it's close enough. It's close enough so where like the front offices are still like neck and neck, and if the Packers have a good offseason, they could pull ahead. That's sort of the way I'd look at it.
How much would the run game influence you?
I mean,
Fair point to
the
make.
Packers' run game is a lot better than Houston's, but and I guess that's part of I guess I'm kind of counting that as part of the depth. The offensive line 1 through 5 is better in Green Bay.
That's true.
The running back, I'm taking the running back duo of Lloyd and Jacobs over Mixon, and who's the second guy? So maybe Green Bay could be more balanced, and that's how they get farther than Houston. Houston's also in the AFC, and it's a bit tougher to climb to the top of that than the NFC. So it's
That's
not
very
crazy to
true.
take Green
In the
Bay.
AFC, in a division that we just talked about, could be a little bit.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like
we've
all of a
talked about
sudden
the
you're in
NFC
the
North,
wild
though.
card of the AFC. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's like you could go win, 11 games and be in the wild card in the AFC, and it could be, Chiefs, Bills, blah, 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 whoever. The Packers, it almost feels like the wild card in the NFC is a lot more like you don't have to worry about it. And then if you get the division, great. But the competition there, the top end teams are just not as good and not as plentiful. So you could go wild card and still not have like who's the second best team in the NFC. You know,
I don't know, but I guess the fact that the 49ers. The fact that the 49ers are the best team in the NFC, like, honestly, I should want to get out of the NFC as a Packers fan because they beat us every single year. I'll take my chances with the Chiefs.
But you should be the guy. But you're gonna be the one to beat them. It'll be you.
True, we're getting closer.
You're the chosen one.
We're due. We're due. I'd still say the Texans.
Yeah. I think Texans probably makes the most sense. We've got one more Would You Rather from our Twitter. This one comes from Grant Weed Jr. And a few people asked this question, so I'm excited to talk about it. Would you rather have unlimited bacon but no video games? Or games? Why are you laughing, Theo?
This is just the most Reddit question I've ever heard.
Would you rather have unlimited bacon but no video games? Or games, unlimited games but no games?
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's like, I forget where that's from, but that's from something.
Yeah.
How about this? Would you rather get all your NFL news from Reddit for the rest of your life? Or would you rather...
Answer this question.
I don't have it. Answer this question.
Or Instagram.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Here's, would you rather only be able to interact with like NFL Reddit or NFL Instagram?
I don't even know what is on NFL Reddit, but
I've never been on NFL.
I'm taking.
We all have to
I'm not
pretend.
taking
I've never even seen Reddit. I don't know what it is at all, dude. I love going on Reddit. I'll be honest.
I'm not saying that
Reddit
I've never been on Reddit. I've looked myself up on Reddit just to see if people are talking about me, but
dude, Reddit is perfectly fine. I mean, like, you go to a team subreddit and they'll be like, saying something biased about their team, and it's like, okay. Instagram comments are much more unruly. And sometimes there's like good stuff on Reddit, to be honest with you. Like,
that's what I'm thinking. It's like Reddit has to be better. Reddit has to be.
Yes.
I've been on Reddit.
Good.
I've been on like r/football strategy on Reddit. I just don't go to like r/Jaguars and like read what they have to say. But I have found like there is better football dialogue happening on Reddit, no doubt, than Instagram. So I'm taking Instagram. Or I'm taking Reddit.
So here's my question. 4 major social media apps: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and we'll say Reddit. Which one of those 4 has the smartest sports fans?
TikTok.
Okay,
clearly
has the dumbest.
Is it the smartest? is it like who has the most smart sports fans, or who has the
smartest median sports fan?
Ooh.
I feel like it's not Instagram, certainly.
It's not
Instagram.
Instagram.
Is like levels below where the others are. The dumbest
or
fans...
just rank them. We don't even have to would you rather.
Yeah, Instagram is 4.
I might go Instagram is 4. I might go Twitter, maybe number 1.
I think that's...
Because I feel like
Twitter has the most information, so they should be the smartest.
A lot of the people that we talk to and are mutuals with and we respect are on Twitter, but I feel like not all of those guys are active on TikTok.
Yeah, I'd put Twitter number 1, unfortunately. And then I think I'd put probably Reddit number 2, because I feel like there's like coaches and shit on Reddit, maybe.
Reddit, yeah, you can... for fantasy football stuff, I think Reddit is actually the best, debatably.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's high.
It doesn't surprise me. Reddit would go crazy
maybe that. Twitter, it also depends a lot on who you follow. Whereas I think like if you go like there's people who are really trying on Reddit, and if you just go like, it's a little bit easier if you just go to like Dynasty Fantasy Football and sort by like top or whatever. It's like, okay, sometimes you can find some stuff.
But I mean, ultimately, social media is
good.
kind of an echo chamber. You will only listen to the stuff that you want.
I think in general it goes Twitter, Reddit,
yeah,
TikTok,
Instagram.
And then
I would agree.
If you threw in Facebook,
I have never looked at Facebook for sports stuff ever.
No, I've only looked at Facebook a few times.
Don't throw any of that like, I've never been on
some. I'm
shit
still
at me.
in
I
some.
truly have never.
Well, I wasn't even. I don't doubt that you have never been on Reddit. I just think it's funny. You have to like.
I'm still in some Ohio State and Cleveland Browns Facebook groups from when we had that YouTube channel where we just posted like highlights from those.
What if we put YouTube in this conversation? Where would it rank?
I think YouTube just doesn't have like the conversational aspect that the other.
Yeah, you're right.
Are we talking about like a YouTube
that the others
section?
don't? So it's like sort of like in its own category. That's how I would put it.
It's still above Instagram.
Yes,
it's still above Instagram. It's probably I'd probably put it in between Reddit and TikTok. Does that make?
Where would you put people in real life?
Ooh.
It might be below Instagram.
Where would real life conversations be?
It might be below Instagram, man. It's close.
Real life conversations are not as they're definitely below Reddit and Twitter. They're closer to. Closer to.
Well, I feel
Instagram
like I would say that I would even put real life above Instagram because
really
I think your odds of hearing something like homophobic or sexist or racist in an Instagram comment is like almost 100%. And it will be like the top comment. It's like the most liked thing on the platform. It's like you don't really have to give them much of an avenue and they're going for it, dude. Whereas in real life, like, don't get me wrong, like there's crazy people in real life, but even taking that into account,
most people don't have the balls to do that in real life.
Right. In real life, it's real life, and that scares away at least a decent number of people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
okay.
And I would say maybe even with YouTube, it's like what you end up seeing is stuff that's like has a lot of views typically. So if you take that into account, maybe YouTube is second behind Twitter. Because like you'll see mostly good stuff, but I guess not everything that is popular is really good. But like if you want to find good breakdowns, it's really easy on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
I agree.
So are we not going to answer Grant Weed Jr.'s question?
Oh, I would rather have video games than bacon. Yeah.
Well, the question is unlimited bacon but no video games, or games unlimited games but no games.
Yeah. What? What did you run that by me one more time? Did I not answer the question?
No, the whole point is that it like trails off and doesn't make any sense at the end. But then, Blaiden wants us to like Blaiden. How are we supposed to answer that, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy. But I'll say it one more time.
What's your answer?
I'll say it one more time.
What's your answer, man?
Would you rather have unlimited bacon but no video games, or games, unlimited games but no games?
Yeah, man. What would you have, Blaiden? This is a real follow.
I trust. I'm taking the bacon.
Over unlimited games but no games.
You gotta get like a little mustache tattooed right here, man, so you can do this thing, man.
If only you were wearing the paused my game to be here shirt. This would be such a picturesque scene.
Oh. I almost just thought about like running to my room to go get it.
What is this generation's bacon?
Beer. Oh, beer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to crack open a beer and drunk drive. Oh, yeah. Like, I'm going to drunk drive. That's so epic. Shout out Double Doink on Twitter. He called that like 2 years ago. He was like, beer is going to be our generation's epic bacon. It 100% did. Beer and Zins. I'm going to drink a beer and it's going to be so epic. Like, I get it, man.
And you know what? Much like bacon, it's too bad because bacon is good. Bacon is really good. Like, they're not wrong about it, you know?
No.
Or the one that I always feel like millennials got a bad rap for is avocado toast. Like, they're so on the money about that one, and they really weren't that annoying about it. Like, for whatever reason, people just got pissed at them for having avocado toast. That shit was
That one got
not
co-opted
okay.
by the right? They were like, "Oh damn!"
Yeah,
Like,
that's
that
what
is-
everybody was like burning their money on. But dude, we went to LA, and damn it, if everywhere didn't have avocado toast, and it was awesome.
And you are so happy.
I was so
you should
happy.
be.
I
Avocado-
got it pretty
avocado
much
is
everywhere we
awesome.
went. I was like, this is
That's
awesome.
true. I don't know. I don't have any like positive or negative feelings towards avocado. Like if something has avocado, I'm not gonna be like take it off. But I'm never gonna go to Chipotle and ask for guac because it costs extra, and for me, it just doesn't add a whole lot to my meal.
I will say I cannot wait until the drunk driving jokes get shut down by Gen Alpha. Like reinforcements need to be on the way ASAP, dude. They have to grow up immediately and stop people from like it is so. First off, people definitely like make jokes like that all the time and then feel less bad about drinking and driving, which is not good. Like clearly that is obviously that's what that leads to.
How old is the oldest Gen Alpha?
It is so unbelievably done. It is so played out. This has been going on for years, and there really isn't that many jokes to make about it at this point. Like we're kind of
I'm behind the wheel, and I'm
gonna,
where am I? Someone get this man his keys. Okay, that's kind of a funny thing to say sometimes, but yeah, it's way too played out on Twitter.
I fear the oldest Gen Alpha is 11.
They're close.
Damn.
We still got a ways though.
That's like another 5. That's like another.
We're gonna be pushing 30, fellas.
11-year-olds can bully people. Come on, guys.
They can, but not people older than them. It's I think once you're 16, I think that's around the time where 15 is depends, but 16 is around the time when you really start to have some firepower in the online spaces.
Yeah, once you're a high school sophomore, not a freshman can't. I refuse to get bullied by a high school freshman, but after that, they're all good.
It's like go back to your pre-algebra, brother.
After that, you're all good. All right. They won't be mean to us, surely.
Yeah.
No.
Everybody else.
No one's ever been mean to us.
We're some of the good ones.
We're some of the good ones, yeah.
We're the good Gen Zs. But yeah, those are... So you guys aren't taking the bacon? Is that what...
Well, here's the problem. My other option is unlimited games, but no games. So I'm probably taking the bacon. But if it's let's say that maybe like I don't know, we're not trying to do stand up here for a second. I'm gonna take unlimited games over unlimited bacon. You feel like let's say the question's like honest, like no typos, no silliness.
It's not a typo, man. I don't know.
I'm taking unlimited video games all day.
Yeah, sure, but like that's not the question.
Fair enough. Then I'll take the bacon.
I don't care.
All right, well, I think that wraps up another fine and beautiful episode of Stay Hot. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We should be back on our normal live stream schedule for the foreseeable future. If you tuned into Friday's live stream and you watched us be super amazing at Madden, thank you. And if you didn't, well, you missed out. But until our next live stream and then our next episode, thank you all so much for tuning in. And until next time, we will catch you on the flippity flop. Rock on, man.